Dreams are a funny thing. They can be wild approximations of whatever's on your mind at the moment. They can be like mine, where I dream so deeply that I either never have normal dreams, or they feel like weird deja vu flashbacks where things haven't happened yet, or they can be metaphysical manifestations of your nightmares that you battle your way through. The topic of today's video is Dreamscaper, which does exactly the last one on that list. Created by the three-person team of Afterburner Studios, it's a game that uses established ideas and uses them in contexts that are suitably interesting for the subject matter that it tackles. But at the end of the day, it's a roguelike-ass roguelike, albeit a pretty good one. The game opens with a tutorial of the game's mechanics, where you wake up in a dungeon and make your way through. And then you die. And wake up in the real world. This introduces us to the protagonist and POV character, Cassidy, whose dreams are manifested as terrifying nightmares following her moving out of her hometown to the city. From there, she has to delve deeper and deeper into her dreams to truly understand what the heck is going on. Dreamscaper relies more so on in-game memories revolving around the slow reveals in Cass's backstory, theming, and abstraction to tell its story, as opposed to a traditional 3-act structure. That's not even remotely a bad thing, because it leads to making the game feel more dreamlike in its presentation, which is a plus. It's pretty good for the most part, but it's ultimately not the focus of the game. It is a video game, after all. The game structure is pretty standard if you're like me and have spent any long period of time in the last decade, or more specifically for me, since I first played the freeware version of Spelunky back in high school. Good God, I feel old. You play an action RPG, you get as far as you can get in the dream, and the second half of the structure is where it gets truly interesting. You spend your time in the waking world just going around your new city in various locations so that you can create upgrades for yourself in the dream and strengthen bonds with the people you meet there. You can increase your relationship values with them by crafting gifts at home to get access to better upgrades that will aid you in the dream. This will eventually lead to a nice loop of you going to sleep at night, fighting as far as you can go, waking up and spending the day to get upgrades so you can fare better in the dream, going back to sleep to fight more monsters and nightmares the following evening, etc. It's a very strong loop, and it's been keeping me going in Dreamscaper for the majority of my time playing with it, even though I haven't completed a full playthrough yet due to my own hubris. When you get into the dream, you start outside of a manifestation of Cassidy's childhood home, which serves as the center point of the map. From there, you can fight your way through procedurally generated areas, fighting off both monsters and nightmares formed from repressed memories and negative emotions. Combat is swift and responsive, with the ability to weave attacks and dodges together seamlessly, as well as a guard function that can be timed right to get you both a regular parry and a perfect parry. A good way to score points with me in games is to add a perfect parry function. It just tickles my brain, and I don't know why. From there, you can navigate the dream world to find shops, rooms locked by needing bombs and keys to open them, and puzzle rooms that make me feel like a dipshit for not noticing the solution after spending 5 or so minutes on them. All of this leads to a boss fight that is fixed for each level of the dream. These are some of the toughest enemies in the game, and I think they're my favorite parts of the game from a mechanics standpoint. They use different patterns and unique mechanics to make them the most difficult fights in the game for me, and while the game does give you the option to skip them after you kill them the first time, I don't see the point of it because of how fun they are, and because you also miss out on special rewards for killing said bosses. Dreamscaper's art style is also something that's worth mentioning. The general aesthetic uses a style of cel shading that's reminiscent of watercolors, and this, combined with the interesting choice to not give any of the characters' faces, adds up to making the game look positively dreamlike? That's the only way I can describe it upon looking at the game for longer than 5 minutes. In conclusion, Dreamscaper is a game that takes an established framework and uses it to express its ideas in pretty interesting ways, all things told. The gameplay may be your standard roguelike-ass roguelike, and that may not sound like much in a post-Hades world, but the gameplay is strong enough that I can get behind it and even recommend it if it's something that you're looking for in the genre that does an interesting spin on it. Also, the soundtrack was done by Del North, and as someone who's followed his work for the better part of a decade, I was excited to see what he could do after the radness of Wizard of Legend. Now, to close out the video, here's a sample of this great music.